Hello YouTube, welcome back. So if you've watched my previous videos, in the last video what we were doing is we were taking all of our user registration functionality and we were trying to consolidate it into just one folder, one area of our code base. And what I mean by that is, especially if you're someone who's done any form of development before, I'm not just talking about our routes and services and controllers, but even just specifying register new user utilities and having those in a separate file within this folder structure. Same thing with the validation chains. Really just trying to encapsulate all of the functionality associated with register user as much as possible into this one folder. Now, I know that goes against the principle of having more reusable code in certain instances. For example, this generate new user email verification token. Maybe we could have had just a separate service for or util for creating a token, and then a common one for sending a token or sending some other form of token, regardless of if it's a verifying the user or forgot password token. But if you've watched any of my previous videos, you'll know that we spent an insane amount of time trying to get tests working, and it's really been quite frustrating to not do that. So in the last video, we did just try and get Claude to write some tests, and it still failed. What it did do quite nicely, though, I did like this little chart that it was able to put together, a graph, where it describes how all of our functionality works. So obviously we've got our routes, pass through our validation chain, and then we do validation checks. If it's invalid, it throws an error. Obviously, if it's valid, it goes to our controller, which passes it to our service, which then calls all these different pieces of functionality, depending on if we're creating a company, generating tokens, verification, etc. And we've got our error handler that these things all flow into as well. So I thought that was really cool and kind of really showed just how all this code works together. But when we tried to create tests, the test failed. So I've been thinking, and it's been a couple of days, so I do need to kind of catch up to where I was mentally. Obviously, this test is failing because it forgets that we're using the Mongo in-memory server for testing. But a lot of these other tests, well, not on that one because they all failed for the other reasons, but a lot of the tests previously were failing because of inconsistencies with understanding the response that it was meant to be receiving. So it was testing for all different types of responses that maybe weren't necessarily what we were expecting. So what I thought was, if we go to register new user, we're going to go through the entire process and copy what the responses should be from Postman, and then run it that way. So what I mean by this is, if we go to our routes, validation request, registration, we look here, the body email must be a string, right? So if we go here, and instead of a string, we put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever, some random numbers. Let's hit, actually is our server running? Let's just quickly check that. No. I think this is going to be because, MongoDB is checking our IP address and it's not whitelisted. So I'll just quickly do that off to the side so I can log in. Alrighty. Add current IP address, come back here. Let's just hit save on this. All right, it's running. So yeah, this is our first validation check, right? If email is a string, this isn't a string, this is a number. Let's hit send. Okay. Why did that not work? Try again. Okay, awesome. So what we're going to do is we are going to open this and actually here. A new page, register new user responses, right? So then we're going to have, let me just move this over here on this side, bring Postman here. So we're going to say, actually, let me do this. Copy this. So we're going to say in our register new user dot validation. Oh my god, I can't spell validation chains.js. So how do I spell it? Capital C file retest for that. If the email passed in is not a string, we receive the following response in following response, and then this is what we get. So copy, paste. Then we should say for our Jest test, we want to test. We want the test to check the success, message, errors, and error type, as well as the status code, which is 400 bad request for this. Okay, so idea is if we provide this information, hopefully, Claude and everything else will be able to create tests easy enough. So we're going to go test 1. Actually, copy that down here. And then, all right, so then we're going to go down here. Why are you freezing on me? Test 2. So back to our validation chains. Check empty. So check that there is an actual email. So let's send it without an email. Unexpected. Maybe just blank. Okay, great. So now we're going to do the same thing. Wrong one. All right, test 2. In our validation test, sorry. Yep. We test for. This determines if an email was provided in the body. Then, actually, what we should do, if I copy this in our just for such as with the following, we then receive the following response. It might be quicker to actually write the test, but anyway, I'll just try and think if there's a quicker way of doing this as we go. But for now, we're testing it. So now we test for, yep. Copy. Actually, in here we had to change this to be onto like some random numbers. I'm gonna put in this. So, nope, drag it down. If the email we provide is empty, like with the following, we then receive the following response. Copy. All right. And then this should be the same. In our Jest test, we want to check the success, we want to check the message, we want to check the errors object. Let's put errors object and error type, as well as the status code, which is 400 bad request. Okay. Now, actually, should this... Let me think about this for a second. Yeah, I don't think we're using this email validator stuff. where we are is valid local part. So why don't we do if in I don't know why we're returning it and then just want to check this. So if we go cannot access local part before initialization. Local part. Alright, I think we leave that, otherwise I'm going to go down, actually keep that. We're going to go down a rabbit hole. We can always fix that up later on if there's benefit in doing that, which I'm sure there is. Okay, so we've done email must be a string, email is required, email must be no longer than max total length. I'm just going to pull this over here because I need to look at my environment variables and I don't want to have to hide my API keys and whatnot. Max total length. My bad. I don't think we max total. Oh, we get that from email validator. My bad. So we're getting it from here. So max total length is 64. So if we come here and we go, okay, A, B, C, D. Let's just copy that 3 times. Okay. So this is interesting. So invalid local part of email address. Oh, no. So domain validation must come before length check. So this is where I think we're using like 2 pieces of functionality. What we're going to do is chat. Okay, so this is quite interesting. I just got ChatGPT to explain like where you would use one over the other, so I cut and pasted the code. So validation chains is when defining middleware for routes that require form or query parameter validation, i.e. registering a new user. Email validator functions when you need to validate an email address independently outside the role of a route handler. This might be for internal functions, services, or scenarios. So I think this is why a lot of our tests have been getting confused. And if I think about it, again, when I've been cutting and pasting code, haven't really been paying too much attention to the relationships between things. Bad on my part. So what we now have is a scenario where, according to this code, we're doing a check for max length, and it's saying, it's meant to throw an error. Emails must be no longer than. But we also have this piece of functionality, which is obviously one of the pieces that is firing because it is, and if I send this one, invalid local part of email address, which is firing here. So what we need to do, I think, is if we look at our route, where's our route? Validate request. No, so where does... So we pick up the email validator stuff here, and then we pass it through here anyway. Okay, so... what we want to do is we want to make sure we want to basically get rid of these email validator ones, I think, is best practice in this particular instance. So, what we're going to do is we're going to come up here and say, can you rewrite my validation chains code to ensure it has all of the same checks? See, we still have imports from email validator. I want to remove these and ensure all of the required functionality is in our validations chains file. Okay. If local part.length equals 0. All right. So again, I know this isn't best practice, but we're just gonna comment that out for a second, because I haven't committed to GitHub for ages. So copy. I just need to save that. Awesome. So I'm just a bit concerned that it's just going to return false if, like we have, for example, this. Okay, so invalid local. Oh no, that's what it's doing. Cool. So it calls that. Yeah. All right. Let's run through this then. So to continue with what we were doing, so we'll run through where we're up to. So yeah, email must be a string. So let's just double check that that's still doing the same thing. So we send that. Email must contain. Okay. So send. Yeah, email must be a string. where are we? Let me just check. So validation failed, email must be a string, 400, yep. And then if we do this as blank, email is required, perfect. Email must be no longer than. Let's do our super long Gmail. It says invalid local part of email address. So why is this filing throwing first? So local part. If local part.length equals 0 or local part.length is greater than max local part, return false. So I don't think those two tests. So if we go chat, thank you. In our tests we have and this, which in turn calls this. As a result, if we have an email address greater than max length, I believe only the is valid, only the is valid local part error fires. We can never fire the this error. Do you think that is correct? Yeah, so you're correct in the current validation flow. If email exceeds the max total length, it will still proceed to is valid local part, where the error might first occur, preventing max total length. To ensure, it should be placed before any calls is local part. Well, we did do that. We already did that. Here we go, max total length, and then this needs to change. Yes, up here. So parts trim email must contain, yep. So this is copy this. What happened? Come on. Alright, so they changed this bit here, max total length here, and then max local part length, I think. So let's double check this. Yep. So local parts must be between 1 and 64 characters. Okay. Now this is valid, local part doesn't fire. It's valid, local, yeah, okay, they've removed that functionality. So this is no longer needed. Save that. Is valid domain. Doesn't get called either. Okay. So save. Alright, So local part. So we won't call it local part because a user might not understand what that means. See, so it still fires that and not that. I mean, to me, this is a bit of overkill. Like, if either the email is too long or it's not. So let's just comment this out for a second. Let me just hit. Interesting. So user validation. This is picking up an this is failing for another reason. This is not coming from here. This coming from? No. What? Yeah, this is bizarre. Let's try again. Recent user validation chains. Okay, so change this. Send invalid local part of email address. Validation error. This is coming from error types. No. Where is this coming from? This is crazy. It's commented out. Email validator. Why is that still firing? Why is email validator still firing? Email validator. So if we look at our routes, validate request, validation errors, validation chains. No. It's still picking up validation chains. Login, refresh, update email. No, because we got rid of it out of that. Oh my god. Is valid. So local part. This is crazy. All I wanted to do was try and get these tests working. So let me just go back a second. Let's go send that. Yeah. Validation failed. That worked. And then when we do, so here's the stack trace validation for when we do email that's not string. It goes via validate request. Then if we do an empty string, goes via validate request. And then when we do, long email, hang on, duplicate. Validation error. Auth. Previous new user. Validation error. Come on. It's firing for some other reason. Email. Here we go. Invalid email format? No. Validate. It's calling our validate email functionality. So, copy, comment that out. Okay, so it called the endpoint, but it didn't throw the error. So let's just check. That failed. Alright, so now we can go back to our register user validation chains. Email must be no longer than total max length, and total max length, it's hang on, let's uncomment this part out again. Send. Yeah, local part. Okay, so now this fires, and then if we have okay. I mean, it kind of check. I mean, I still find it odd that there'd be an instance where the local part of the email, you're only allowing 64 characters, but then max domain length is. So it's ChatGPT. With these, what is the thought process in allowing such a long max total length? And max domain length of 255. Okay. So it's according to this standard, RFC. So yeah, it's saying here, can be safely handled by all email systems. Okay. So what we're going to do is that's fine, and then that local part must be the local part of your email address must be between. Okay, that's what we're going to do. So let's now continue with our knowledge here. So for, I'm going to say test 3 in our user validation chains, we test 4. Where total length is in the body, in the request body if we provide something like we receive the following error with a status code of 400. Now, what I want to do now is, I know we're only part way through, so what we've got to is 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to ask I'm going to ask ChatGPT to write tests for all of these. Okay. So let's try this. Let's go new chat. Okay, I am going to provide it with some files. So let's go components, register new user. Let's upload all of these. And I'm going to say, I have provided you with files related to our register new user functionality. Actually, what we should probably do is components, middleware, error middleware, auth, and backend utils app error functionality. I want you to write Jest tests, but only for the 3 scenarios I provide below. We want to call our services as much as possible rather than mock services. We use MongoDB MongoDB memory server memory server rather than connecting to a database for testing purposes. Please only ensure we test for the anticipated responses I provide. Before you write any code, let me know if you have any questions or require other files. Okay, please proceed. Alrighty. So what we're going to do is, once it comes back, so request super test, require app, yep, Mongoose. I don't think it's done that correctly. Are you sure you are using MongoDB memory server? Told you. Still a little bit different to some of the other code we had. It's a long email. All right. Let's copy this, paste this here, save. All right. Now let's go to tests, run this. not. I don't think we. Hang on. We have a separate. Okay. All right. So what we're going to do is we are going to go to Claude. I'm going to copy yeah. Minutes. Actually, it should only be the validation chains that's changed. Okay, so add content, upload from device. Alright, I'm going to say no. Do I have to copy this out? Okay, we'll write a new message. You have files related to our register new user functionality. I want you to write Jest tests only for the scenarios provided, blah, blah, blah. Don't forget we have, do we have this set up? Where is it? Desktop. Util, no, tests. Yes, setup.js. Do we have that? No. Okay, so let's add that. Tests. Alright, so we want to call we will use MongoDB. Alright, so come on, get rid of this. For testing purposes, I have provided the setup.js file for this. Here are the scenarios I want you to test. Alrighty. Copy. Paste. Send. Alrighty. So that looks pretty good to me. So come over here. Save that. Okay, so these failed too. So let's just compare this. So if we bring up pull this over to another side. So in our test one, should reject when the email is not a string. So it's changing, so this is a base payload and it's changing the email to just be that. And it's expecting validation failed. So let's do this in Postman ourselves, right? So we can send. All right, validation failed. That's right. Errors is an object. Yep. With email must be a string. Error type, validation error. Response is 400. What? Why is it saying? We'll just say where are we? I've got so many windows. The first test failed, even though the response body was. How come? Okay, I didn't realize that you had to. Again, it's been a while since I've written Jest tests. So you have to check every path. So let's just save that. What's it not happy with? Oh. That's my bad. I don't get it now. Okay, let's just ask. The tests still fail for these reasons. Please explain why. The error type error middleware. So right, let's copy this. Yeah. Still fails. What the hell? Response body. This is bizarre. So okay, so these fields, stack and path only in development. So if we get rid of these, I think it should work. Okay, so we should just let's go say when we still check for stack and path that the tests fail. If I remove them, those checks, the test passes. Okay, so what I now wanted to get to, after all of that, it does help, I think, providing it with the response. But if we go back to our, I'll have to pick this up. So I'm going to pause here and come back in a minute. Yeah, sorry, just had to take that call from the wife. All right, so what I wanted to get to now was in our not our validate email, in our validation chains for our new user. If we come up here, we have done string, email is required, can't be longer than. We should just be able to write this test ourselves a lot quicker, right, theoretically. So if we just copy this, for example, and we do this, and we do, let's get this response and change this to this, and then email, we've got to change to test at test.com, and then it should reject when email has more than one at symbol, and then the validation email error should be that save. Run these tests again. And it passes. Okay, so now let's see if we can create that works using this same format. Can you now add tests for the following? So let's just check these. I know we're taking a little bit longer, but what we've got is, let's find the string. Does it search? I don't know if it searches this. Okay. Should reject. So the string is empty. Okay, so these are brand new. So if we put these in here, describe. Okay, and then I think we just have okay, so added those in. One failed. So I think it might be a should reject when the domain exceeds maximum length. And it was testing for domain must be between. So then let's see, domain must, and it received this email must not be longer. Email must. Yeah, so this is where it can fail for both reasons. And I added the total length one myself. No, I didn't. I added the double email. At symbol, sorry. Email must be no. Yeah, I mean, to me, if the email's longer, then it doesn't matter. Like, yeah, I think I'm just going to remove that test. I mean, it seems a little bit pedantic. All right. So they all pass. So this is the validation checks, really. So I know it's not new user tests. All right, so then I think this approach works where we kind of give a little bit more prompting to AI to know what to expect, which is advantageous and beneficial. What I'm thinking though is obviously when we now register a new user, so if we come over here, let's do a successful, I can't remember what we're up to, so we'll start at like test 50, test.com, and call this test code 50, hit send. Why is it taking so long? Come on. Okay. So let's tell. Now I want you to create a test for positive outcomes. If we successfully register a new user, this is the response we expect. Do not include a test for email preview URL. Then can you also test? So if we go register new user route, we call this controller actually we haven't done our validation chains tests for passwords. We'll come back to that in a second. I just want to test this one test. Then we call this register new user service. Let's say do not test the do not include tests for the email verification. At this stage, do not include testing for the email verification. Oh, you're joking, come on. Okay. Alright, so let's bring in these. Oh, we've already got user, we've already got company, we've already got JWT. Oh no, we don't, sorry, wrong file. Register new user. Yeah, so copy, bring in those. And then just copy this, paste that. Tests. Why did it fail? So it failed. Received a 400. Why did it fail? Why did this fail? Why did this fail? Why did this fail? So, register new user, expected received, so it was a 400. So I just copy. I'm just going to send that request myself. I don't know. Send. Ah, God damn it. Double quoted property, duplicate key, test code. User successfully created. Okay. Why is that failing? Expect. Success. Message, user, please check your email to verify it's correct. It's failing because it gets a 400 error. That's really weird. Please, we get this error. Don't write any code, but please explain. I know that. Ah. Let me just check our test environment variables. So JWT secret, JWT refresh secret, token expiration, refresh token expiration, MS, yeah. .env.test. Alright, so let's add console.log right, so secret. Alright, refresh token expiration. So actually, if we're calling only the JWT secret. I think it's still got something to do with those environment variables, but let's just try and do this, and then I think we've defined the new approach for testing if we can get this right. So email service not initialized. Okay. Oh yeah, sorry, let's Okay. All right, they all passed. Great. So this is our new approach for testing, which I'm going to jump over to Miro. And I think if we just kind of like map this out a little bit, I know we're doing a whole heap in this file, in this little thing. But what we do is, I think it's like, okay, kind of like create functionality, use Postman to create test successful. Let's just say success. Use Postman to test failure. And then we say here, like copy examples of each response body. Then like down here, give Claude examples of each and ask to prepare remaining tests. So if we go to where is it? Validation chains. So we've got these password ones, right? So if we go here and we go password missing, let's just get rid of that and that. Send. And we say copy. Let's just try it on one, like with one test. I really hope this works. So great, that works. Now let's test our password checks as part of the new, what is it called, register new user. If I send of, then we'll say remember in our tests we don't want to test for path or error type. Path, error type, or stack, right? Where are we? Yep. Stack. Our new user, so our register new user validation chains file tests for these items. Please only create tests for these. And then we're going to finish. Hang on, do we stick this? Yeah. Oh, no. All right. Please. Yes. We have figured it out. That is so good. That is so good. So this process works. This process works. I might actually do a separate video of this because it's been such a pain to get working. But we'll test it on some more functionality in the next videos to make sure this is going to keep working. But that, I think, is a nice little breakthrough. That's cool. That's really good. We've still got a bit more testing to do, obviously, because we've got these other use cases, but that's really good. All right, I'll finish there because, yeah, come back when I've got a little bit more time, and we'll keep going. So, yeah, obviously we're not hitting full coverage yet, still got a little bit more to do, but that's great. Awesome. Catch you in the next video.